Good evening, sports zonians. How's everybody doing out there tonight? I am Mike and Erich. I am your host. This is SportsZone. Coming to you live like we do each and every week here via the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Radio Network. We got a good show for you tonight. We'll be joined by Eric Tressler in a matter of moments. And we're hoping to get Dave Hastings here as well, but it's looking like he may not be able to make it. So that's okay because we still got a lot to talk about tonight. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving weekend, and we're going to recap everything that went on in the NFL in Week 12. I believe it's Week 12. Could be wrong. Could be Week 13 for all I know. All I know is just this season has moved by very quickly, like all NFL seasons do. And we're already, I guess it was Week 12. We're heading into Week 13. It'll be December in a matter of days here. So we're going to look back at everything that happened. And we got a lot of stuff in other sports to talk about, too. We may wind up talking about the Phil Mickelson, Tiger Woods one-on-one golf match that happened on Friday. It was supposed to be held on pay-per-view, but apparently something happened with the servers, and AT&T and Bleacher Report gave the pay-per-view away for free, so we will wind up talking about that. And we are now joined by Eric Tressler tonight. Eric, how you doing, brother?
Doing good, Mike. A little trouble hearing you, but I'm doing my best.
Okay, is that coming from your end or me?
I think my end.
Okay.
But
All right, cool, because I would have no idea how to fix that, so that's good. All right. Happy late Thanksgiving, brother. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving.
I did. How was yours?
Yeah, it was not too bad. Got together with my mom for Thanksgiving. Worked all weekend, but thankfully it was not too busy, so I had that going for me. Now, let me ask you. We'll start off like this. Did you get to catch any of the Tiger Woods Phil Mickelson match from Friday?
Actually, I did.
Yeah?
Actually, it is funny you say that because I did happen to catch it, actually.
Yeah.
And it's because they played it for free.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So I had a friend, I was off on on Friday. And they texted me and was like, oh, hey, the match is free, blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah.
I was able to, like, pretty much from my phone project up Bleacher Report and, watch the match.
Yeah. I got home, like, middle of the afternoon. I think I got home around, like, 6 or 7 now that I think about it. So I only got to see the final hole. But as someone who watched the match, what were your impressions of the match?
It was all right.
Mm.
It did what it was supposed to. It was entertainment value. It got a little exciting towards the end. It did go 22 holes. So it did get a little exciting. Sucks Phil had to win because I'm a Tiger guy. But, listen, he outlasted him.
Mm. Now, everything I've heard, because I was listening to some of the reactions on Francesa earlier today, and I guess a lot of people felt like I don't know if fixed is the right word, but it definitely felt like they were kind of, they purposely made
Well, listen, it was all for show. It was all for fun. So you can't expect them to,
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, be fierce and competitive. They were joking. They were having fun. So, yeah, it seemed loose. It seemed a little lax for what you would think a $9 million golf match would be. But
with two guys who are probably worth about $1 billion between the two of them. So $9 million.
Yeah, exactly. So not like they need it, but listen, this was a match that would have sold. And the reason they gave it away for free is they didn't make any money on the pre-sales.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pointless for them to hog it and not let anybody watch. So to get the most eyeballs on it as possible, they had a glitch.
Yeah.
And everybody got to watch it for free. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't make the money they thought they would have 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. They would have made, bazillions on this. But it's just these guys are now in their 40s, and people don't want to pay to see that.
And it would have been an actual grudge match if it happened about 10 years ago because, I get that both these guys don't eat the way they used to, but if you would have had this 10 years ago, back in both their heyday, basically, when those guys could not stand each other, then you would have had the match that everybody was kind of sold this was going to be. I think everybody basically knew this was going to be more of an exhibition than anything. But you can't have a real grudge match when both guys are towards the twilight of their careers.
I agree. It's, 100%. You have a grudge match when you're both over the hill. It's like that last, whatever terrible Rocky Balboa fight I watched or whatever, that crappy movie. He really should have stopped after 4, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I haven't seen any of the Creed, so my judgment is not based on the Creed movies. So I cannot say that they are good movies or bad movies because I have not seen them. I've heard good things about them, but I just know that after Rocky Balboa and Rocky V, I was done with the Rocky series.
Well, listen, you and me are never going to agree on Rocky Balboa because we have two very different viewpoints on that particular movie. I liked that movie.
He's call him punchy, punchy.
You make it sound like the dialogue is so much different than his dialogue in the other movies. So I don't really see the difference in that. But anyway, Creed 1 was good. I did see Creed 2 over the weekend. I saw it last Wednesday, actually, when it first came out. I'll say this. I think we can both agree. The Rocky movies, as much as they have serious moments, they're fun movies. Like, even during the serious movies, you could agree, they have a sense of fun in them, yes?
Yeah. No,
okay.
I'd agree with that.
I don't really consider this a criticism, but Creed 2 has to be the most serious movie out of any of the Rocky movies, without question. And I thought it was good. I thought it was very well done. All things considered, the way they brought the Dragos into the movie and the way they did the son and Dolph Lundgren's character, they were awesome. I would put this towards the back end of all the Rocky movies, though. And that's not necessarily saying it's a bad movie, but like, I really liked Creed 2, good movie, just towards the back end of the Rocky movies, in my opinion. Still worth seeing.
Right. I gotta take your word for it because I'll be honest, I haven't seen Creed or Creed 2.
Listen, you have to watch Creed at some point, if for no other reason than to see the best acting performance in the career of Sylvester Stallone. I will say that until my dying day. That's the best acting the dude's ever done. And he was really good in this movie, too. Watch Creed, though. Watch Creed. Definitely recommend it. So, now I want to give you a chance to talk about something that I did not get to see on Saturday, I believe it was, but I know you were riding high on this game. Tell me about the LSU Texas A&M game.
How could you have not turned it on? It was unbelievable. I mean, I didn't really catch it until the end of the game, but by the time the end of the game got there, I mean, the spectacular plays, the catches, I can't even begin to tell you the excitement. It was out of control. It was 7 overtimes. Tied for the longest game in NCAA history. Most points scored in NCAA history combined. No, there's never been a higher scoring game in NCAA history. And that's saying a lot. I mean, this was 74-72.
Yeah.
Wrap your head around that. That college basketball teams don't score that many points most nights.
It's true.
74-72. And I mean, both teams exhausted. Both teams fighting. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was exciting football. And I don't know. I wish you guys would have saw it. That's why I tried to get you text you and let you know. But I mean, it was insane. I was texting with my dad back and forth about it. I mean, that kid Rogers from Texas A&M made some unbelievable catches. He to me was the MVP of overtime, all of overtime, and I mean, he pretty much came down with almost anything that they threw at him. So I mean, he was definitely the breakout star of overtime, but it was a lot to get to there. They had a last-second touchdown that got them to overtime. It was just an absolutely insane game, and one for the books in college football. I mean, those that saw it will probably never forget it, I'll be honest.
Okay. Now, here's a question I have. Layman me when it comes to college football. So and again, this is probably ignorant on my point to answer this question, but I think you're caught in a windstorm over there, buddy.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's all right. Anyway, so they keep playing until there's a definitive winner. 7 overtimes. I didn't even know it was possible.
Yeah, they play. What it is after the third overtime, I believe it is. After the third overtime, every touchdown you score, you have to go for 2. So that's kind of the caveat they put in so that, like, it doesn't drag on. But they were just matching each other back and forth. One would score, get to 2 points, the next would score, get to 2 points. The next would score and miss, the next would score and miss. It was back and forth, you know. And that's the thing about college overtime, too, is they just started off on the 25-yard line, you know, on the opposing 25-yard line driving in. And it's, you know, pretty much, you know, if you score, the other team's got to match you or you win. And it's a little different than the NFL and the way they're set up. But still, it makes for exciting football. I think one day the NFL might actually end up going to it.
Well, it definitely would be better than ending the game in a tie. So I would be in favor of something like that because it seems to me like a 7 overtime game, that's like a once-in-a-lifetime type thing. You think of a game?
The last one, I think, was 2000. It was 11 years ago. 2007 for Western Michigan versus Buffalo.
Huh. Okay. Fair enough.
I actually looked it up because me and my dad were talking about it, and we were like, when was the last time you seen an overtime game go this long? And then we were like, well, what's the record? And, you know, so we looked up all that stuff. I was my own little research crew on that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Absolutely. So, last thing we'll say about college football, unless you have anything else, I want to talk about the playoff rankings right now. Because you got 3 teams at 12-0 in Alabama, Clemson, and Notre Dame, and then you got 3 teams at 11-1 in Georgia, Oklahoma, and Ohio State. I think LSU was ranked 7th before that game. They dropped down to 10 in the football playoff ranking. And Michigan, they lost yesterday to, I believe it was Saturday actually, to Ohio State. So they dropped down to 7th place. Safe to say those teams are done, right? Those teams ain't going to make it, right?
Yeah, those teams are done. And honestly, if Georgia loses to Alabama, they're done. So really, it's going to come down to UCF.
Okay.
UCF, Ohio State, and Oklahoma are going to be the 3 teams that everybody's debating who should get that 4th spot.
Okay. Now,
and that's barring a weird Clemson loss or a weird Alabama loss next week in the championship game. But I'll be honest, Alabama's offense looks ridiculous. And the last time Georgia let up 3 touchdowns to a quarterback, it was to Tua in the second half of last year's national championship game. So not that I'm being overconfident, but I think it's going to be an uphill battle for Georgia this weekend. So I really think the battle is going to be between a 1-loss Ohio State, who lost to an unranked Purdue. You have an Oklahoma who lost to their rival Texas, and they're going to play Texas in the Big 12 championship game. So it's kind of like a revenge game. If they can win that game, it kind of proves to the committee that they've avenged their only loss. And then UCF. I mean, if UCF wins, this is going to be a second year in a row they're going to get snubbed, and they went undefeated. And I'll be honest, any team who goes undefeated 2 years straight, they should have a shot. And that's where I stand. I think if UCF goes undefeated, I couldn't see a reason to keep them out. But if they do keep them out, I think it would probably be for really money reasons and selfish reasons, because they could sell Oklahoma and they could sell Ohio State better than they could sell UCF.
Now, the 2 questions here. UCF, is it mostly the same roster that they had from last year? Or was there a lot of turnaround on that roster?
That I can't tell you. I think they had some turnaround, but I'm not sure how much.
Okay. And I
do know that their quarterback just went down with a horrific injury last week, though.
Oh, that ain't good. That ain't good. Now, last question here, because I noticed you didn't really talk about Notre Dame too much. They're also at 12-0. They're considered the third.
They're solidly in. If they're in. Nobody's going to leave an undefeated Notre Dame team out. It's just not going to happen. So the top three teams, barring something crazy, barring Georgia beating Alabama, that would probably be the thing that could throw it into the biggest tailspin. Even if Clemson loses, I still think they're in. So, yeah, I really think that Notre Dame and Clemson have stamped their ticket. I think Alabama has their ticket in hand. It just needs to be stamped. And I think there's a battle for that fourth ticket.
So, again, layman when it comes to college football, the regular season is over, and now it's just the conference championships they're doing, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And what conference is Notre Dame in? Is it the ACC?
They are not in a conference.
Oh, okay. Excuse me.
They are one of, I think, they may be the only team, if not, they're one of only 2 or 3 teams left in the country that are independent and do not have a conference. Now, they have a conference in basketball, but they do not have a conference in football. And like I said, they're either the only team or one of maybe 2 or 3. It's very rare. And it's because they're Notre Dame. They're an organization that everybody in the country knows, if not, probably one of the most recognizable names, out there as far as college football across the world. So they live off of that name, and they're independent of everybody. So even though they choose to play certain teams and they play an SEC-type schedule, they play 5, I believe, ACC teams a year. So 5 ACC teams a year, I guess, but they're not technically qualified to be in the ACC.
Gotcha. Now, I just out of curiosity, because teams like Alabama and UCF and all these other teams that are jockeying for playoff position, because they have the conference playoffs and everything they're going through, and Notre Dame, I guess they're not going to be in any sort of conference championship because they're not in a conference. Is that something that would hurt Notre Dame? Because you could see teams start to show their muscle in a conference championship where Notre Dame.
It would hurt.
Go ahead.
It would hurt Notre Dame if there was another undefeated team. So say you have like a bunch of undefeated teams. Say Oklahoma and Ohio State were all undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
Then I could see Notre Dame getting left out. Even if, I'll be honest, if Ohio State won, was one loss and Oklahoma was undefeated, they may take a one-loss Ohio State over Notre Dame at this point, but that's only because where the program's been the last few years. But for the most part, it would be really hard to leave a Notre Dame team out, and usually each season there's but maybe 1 or 2 teams, if that, in a given year that go undefeated. So that scenario really doesn't come up often. So in this scenario, Notre Dame's got their ticket stamped, in my opinion.
Okay. Fair enough. You have anything else you'd like to throw into college football before we move on?
Not really. Roll Tide, Alabama won. The Ohio State, absolutely mollywopped freaking Michigan this week. That was the biggest eye-opener to me. Was Michigan was supposed to have the number 1 defense in the country. They were ranked the number 1 defense in the country going into this week. Gave up 62 points to Ohio State. Number 1 defense in the country gives up 62 points? I don't think so. Something went seriously wrong for Harbaugh and the boys. Harbaugh has never beaten Ohio State yet. I think he's 0-4 now. And it just is not looking like it may be a long-term thing there for him. From what I'm hearing his name come up in Jets rumors and possibly NFL rumors. So we'll see what happens there. But, yeah, that was the biggest eye-opener for me this weekend, really.
Gotcha. All right, I want to talk a little baseball real quick, just because. So I heard this over the weekend, and I wanted your thoughts on it, because apparently the Seattle Mariners are shopping Robinson Cano, who's got 5 years and $120 million left on that 9-year, $240 million contract he signed in 2013, I believe it was. It was either 2013 or 2014. And apparently, they were shopping him to both the Yankees and the Mets. And I want to hear your thoughts. Would you consider taking him on the Yankees?
I would, but it would never happen. We got the trade we wanted out of them, so I don't see us making a move for Cano.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Any move that you guys make for Cano, you would want them to take an Ellsbury back. And Cano actually did play some first base this year, so it's not exactly like he's stuck on second base. But, yeah, I can't see the Yankees doing something like that when you consider pitching's their big need this offseason. If they're going to overspend on anything, it'll be that or a Manny Machado deal. I can't see them doing Cano. And
no, this is all lip service.
yeah.
That's all it was. It was, oh, you gave us a deal on Paxton. We're happy with that deal. All right, we'll entertain you. You want to, oh, you're looking to shop Cano? That's great. What would you want for him type deal? Like, I think it was a very casual conversation.
Yeah.
And one that I don't see them actually pursuing, but one they probably just took to keep good communication lines open with Seattle.
My cousin in the chat room, I just see him put, hell no, 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 no. So I guess he doesn't want Cano back. That's funny. That's funny to me. I'm going to bring up the Mets here because I think it's funny. The Mets do not have a good track record when it comes to bringing in former All-Star second baseman or future Hall of Famer second baseman. Robbie Alomar is the first one that comes to mind here. So it's like, and we actually have a decent second baseman in the kid who came up in the second half of the year. And I can't remember. I think Jeff McKnight. No, it can't be Jeff McKnight. I can't remember the dude's name off the top of my head. You know who I'm talking about, though, right?
Yeah, I don't know his name off the top of my head either.
Yeah, I got to look it up myself. But I liked him. And even if they do bring in someone for the middle of the infield, Jeff McNeil, that's who it was. I like that kid. And I heard someone say he's got a little bit of Daniel Murphy in there. So if he could do that with the bat, I'd be definitely fine with that. I think he'll grow into having some power. And if they use him as like a utility player, if they wanted to bring in another second baseman or something, that's fine with me. Cano scares me. Mets should trade. No, the Mets should not trade for Cano at this point. Number one, I want them to spend money on guys who still have some years ahead of them. Cano is 36. He doesn't look like he's completely done yet, but I'm sorry. He comes to the Mets, then all of a sudden he will be done. Mets don't have a good track record with that type of thing. I don't really want that. Anyway, if you have anything else you would like to add, baseball-wise, Cespedes for Cano? I mean, just why?
Yeah, no, I don't. I agree with you. I don't see any reason any team really would trade for a 36-year-old Cano. Not at this point. Not with those years and those dollars left. Seattle would have to eat a lot of that money, probably at least half, in order to even consider it. And again, he's 36. Why would you go out and sign a guy like Cano when you can go out and sign a guy like Machado, who's 10 years younger, 12 years younger? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, if you're looking for infield help, I really don't see it turning to Robbie Cano for it. But, you never know. We'll see where he lands. If Seattle's, really, gung-ho to trade him, they're going to have to eat a lot of money now.
I'll tell you this. If I had the choice, I would actually rather the Mets go out and bring Daniel Murphy back than go out and trade for Robinson Cano. And I don't think that that's that far off a comparison when you consider how old Murphy's going to be now. The fact that he's coming off the injury-plagued year he had last season. I don't think that's that far off. And both those things, in my eyes, are not going to happen. So let's go to the NFL a little bit here. Let's hear your thoughts. Anything stand out for you from this past weekend and the Thanksgiving games?
Thanksgiving games? Not really. Amari Cooper had a big day for the Cowboys.
Yeah, that was nice to see.
They beat up on Washington.
Yeah.
And Thanksgiving Day games I didn't go too crazy over. I mean, Drew Brees is just phenomenal. What can you say about him? The Lions are in trouble, man.
Yeah. Let's stick there for a second because Matt Stafford. What is going on with Matt Stafford here? A couple years ago,
he's fallen out of favor there.
Yeah, but is it he's fallen out of favor, or it's just he doesn't have the same? I don't know how quite to say it. The talent just isn't showing through this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, but again, all that complaining, the locker room, all that. I mean, Amari Cooper wasn't looking that great until he got to Dallas.
I mean,
you know, there's guys that just sometimes it's not working where it's at, and you need a change of scenery. And I think he's one of those guys. I think his time is just run out there with the Lions. They don't have the same scheme. He's been through a ton of coaches. It's just they traded away Golden Tate, which hurt him. You know, they haven't done much for him. So, and I mean, I know they've tried to get some running backs in the draft. They tried to do some different things, but it just hasn't worked out the way they've hoped. And I just think his time is run short there.
So it sounds like you're saying it's more on the organization than the actual player, right? That would be your opinion.
I think it's both. I think it's a drive for him too. Then once things start going south for him, maybe he doesn't put in the same effort. Maybe he doesn't watch the same, but, you know, instead of watching an hour and a half of film, maybe he's watching an hour of film. You know, could be the work that he's putting in with the guys. It could be a combination of things that are a chain reaction. Once the locker room starts to go one way or another, everybody feels it. It could sour things fast, and it seems like that might be what's happening there in Detroit.
Yeah, and my cousin says ever since Calvin Johnson left, the Lions have never been the same. Correct me. They never made the playoffs with Calvin Johnson there, and they were in the playoffs 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think you can blame Calvin Johnson on that one. I think, like you said, I think part of it is Stafford's kind of fallen off in terms of his play. And, yes, they've tried to make all these different changes in the organization. Rather than trying to build the team around him, they've made the changes and just kind of hope that it would work out for him, and that hasn't exactly played. But if you're an organization who can't keep a player like Calvin Johnson, then something is wrong. That's not entirely true. I mean, the Lions are a mess, but you can't say everything is just because Calvin Johnson left. Calvin Johnson was preserving himself there. It wasn't entirely on the Lions. They started turning around after he left, and the last 2 years they just completely fallen off the damn cliff. So let's talk about your Giants, though, for a second. So what went wrong? They had the lead against the Eagles, and then they kind of blew it in the fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, not necessarily what went wrong. It just their deficiencies reared their ugly head in the second half. They didn't come out with that same aggressiveness. I mean, Barkley and Odell in the first half were great and really weren't much of anything in the second half. I think they fell back into some old habits in the second half, and they're going to have to correct that. But, I mean, their season's over at this point, and honestly, really go for the best draft pick you can. It doesn't do anybody any good to just play your star players in a season that's, you know, not necessarily going anywhere. So I don't know. I think it's time for them to start looking towards next year. And as far as Dallas, they should have the easiest path to win this division now. Washington down a quarterback. They're gonna be pretty much an 8-8 finish. The Eagles, even though they won this week, still just don't look right and aren't functioning on all cylinders. So I really think this division's the Cowboys to lose at this point. Dak's playing well. Zeke's playing well. Cooper's playing well. You got them all clicking on all cylinders, and it's really their division to lose at this point.
Yeah, Cooper's definitely looking like a great pickup right there. I saw an article that they didn't sign him to an extension, and they have yet to really engage in extension talks. Hopefully, his play hasn't made him unsignable, even though if Jerry Jones is good for one thing, it's throwing money around whether he should or not. So I think at the very least they will wind up re-signing. Yeah, I mean, you said it on paper. It definitely looks like the Cowboys' division to lose. That's always going to worry me until it actually happens, though. I mean, you look at their schedule. You have the Saints this week. Then they take on the Eagles. That's in Dallas. So they're playing in Dallas the next 2 weeks. Then they go on the road to take on the Colts, the home against the Bucs, and then at the end of the last week of the season, they're in MetLife to take on the Giants. I mean, on paper, they should be able to take that, but nothing ever goes according to plan with the Cowboys.
I'll agree with you there, but I mean, this division really can't get much worse.
Yeah,
and
but
Dallas is only 6-5. If they don't finish the season at least 9-7, this division really sucks.
Yeah, but I'm gonna agree with something my cousin just put in the chat room. Giants will be getting up for that final game. Yes, I totally agree with that. You guys are not going to lay down that final week. You guys, I mean,
what's our division winner going to be? 9-7, 8-8? It's pathetic. So good. This is a weak division this year. This is one of the weakest NFC East I've seen in a long time.
Actually, you have a point there. I didn't even think about that because the Cowboys at 6-5 right now. 5 games left to play, and yeah, I could see them. If they win the division, I could see them doing it at 8-8 or 9-7, and that's if the Redskins and the Eagles don't fly back. So, yeah, and I would not have thought that the division winner coming out of the East would have that low of a record. When you consider that at the beginning of the year, you thought, I mean, you knew it was going to be a dogfight one way or another, but I think you thought that the winner could win about 10 games easily.
Yeah, 10-11, would have had a decent season, but both these teams are just all the NFCs. They're not a division ready to win a championship right now, I can tell you that.
No, I agree with that, but I'll tell you this. Going back to the Thanksgiving games, I got to give it up to the Bears. I mean, we kind of put down the Lions a little bit. The fact that the Bears were able to win on Thanksgiving with Chase Daniels starting instead of Mitch Trubisky. Say what you want about the Lions. That's impressive. Whenever you can live with a backup quarterback, especially one as unproven as a Chase Daniel, you deserve a little bit of credit for that one.
Now, the only one who deserves any credit is Khalil Mack. He's turned that whole team around. He's been the difference this year.
Yeah.
They got him in. He came in. He got a different mindset going in that locker room. They've been playing really good defense, and it's really been their defense that's propelled them to a bunch of these wins. So I'm going to say that it's more on Khalil Mack than it is necessarily anybody they bring in a quarterback. I just really think he's been the difference maker for them all season.
Yeah, but still winning with a backup quarterback is not an easy thing to do. So I give him a little bit of credit there, as much as I agree with what you're saying. So, and the Bears sit at 8-3 right now. They're definitely the front runners for the NFC North. Even though I tell you this, until otherwise, I think the Saints and the Rams have a very easy path to the conference championship game. I think they're going to run over everybody in their way come playoff time. So, yeah. All right, let's run through our picks real quick. We got about 9 minutes to go here. So last week, Dave, who is not with us tonight, went 3-0 in his picks. You went 2-1 in your picks, and I went 1-2 in mine. I'm at 22, 13-1 on the season. Eric, you're almost at 500 on the year. You're at 16, 17-1. So let's go through our 3 games for this week. The first one, the Thursday night game. New Orleans going into Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Cowboys have a shot in this game simply because it is in Dallas. That's about it, though. Saints are going to run right over them. What do you say?
Saints come marching in.
Yep.
Another victory. Chalk it up. They're the best team in football right now.
Yeah, and Dave also picked the New Orleans Saints, so all 3 of us go for the Saints on that. Now we got the Chicago Bears going into MetLife to take on your New York Football Giants. And Trubisky, from what I know, should be back for this game. So I'm going with the Bears on
it. Where is it at again?
It is in MetLife.
I honestly just can't trust the Giants right now. With Khalil Mack coming down, I'm taking the Bears.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Dave picks the Bears as well. My cousin in the chat room's picking along with us. He's the only one who has any faith in the Giants. So give him that one. And then this should be a pretty good game. You got the Sunday night game. You got the Rams going into Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Eric, I'll let you go first on this one. What do you say?
I'm going with the Rams. I mean, the Steelers have kind of been up and down, yet their offense looks good, but I think their defense is, not up to Steeler par. I'm going to go with the Rams. They're just playing good football.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a very good game, truthfully. I think the Steelers are going to play tough, being that it is in Pittsburgh, but it's pretty difficult to root against the Rams at this point. They're coming off the bye week, so they're going to be real nice and rested. They got the defense going. Aaron Donald, one of the best players in the game. It'll be interesting to see how that offense goes because they played really well in that first week without Cooper Kupp. In my opinion, that's a big loss for them. They got the kid Josh Reynolds who stepped up and looked like he was able to fill in pretty damn good. My cousin David is calling the Rams the best team in football. I tell you this, I'm not ready to call any team the best team in football just yet, but it's the Rams, Chiefs, and Saints. Those are the ones who are fighting for it, even though the Patriots ain't giving that title up without a fight. So I'll say that, but I'm going to pick the Rams in this game too. So that's going to be our picks for this week. Eric, we got about 6 minutes left here. Do you have anything you would like to bring up?
Not necessarily. Just people, get ready. Great college football this weekend with the conference championship games and drive to the national championship. So we'll see how it shakes out. But I hope everybody watches some. That college basketball's kicked off. Phenomenal. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch any Duke games. That kid Zion Williams. They actually have 3 kids that are projected to go in the top 5 in the NBA draft. RJ Barrett, Zion Williamson, and I forget the third kid's name, but he's projected in the top 5 of the NBA draft as well. This is one of Coach K's most stacked teams. Definitely worth a watch if you get a chance. Yeah, that's what I got for you. Everybody just enjoy, watch sports, have fun, go Rangers. I mean, we haven't even talked any hockey yet. I mean, I feel like next week we got to get a little hockey in here.
All right, I will try to prepare for that one. But I got
a little early season summary, something. I just feel bad. We're here every week. We talk NBA, we talk MLB, we talk all these other things. We're the major sports. We got to get it in here.
Yeah, okay. Listen, you know how I feel about hockey. I'm not opposed to it. It's never been one of my favorites. But listen, I'm open for anything.
Just a little bit, kind of like we get college football in here.
Hey,
just a little bit, the talking points, big things happening.
Yeah, but I don't know if you noticed, when it comes to college football, I just ask a question and I sit back and let you talk a little bit.
Yeah, listen, Dave knows some hockey now. He's been going to some Devils games and keeping up with it more. Just saying. I think it could be a halfway decent, little 5-minute segment towards the end of a show. So
I'm with you, man. I'm fine with that. Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question because we got 4 minutes left here, and I want to bring this up. So the 49ers released Reuben Foster, the linebacker, this weekend. He's been in the league for 2 years. He's been mired with all these domestic violence charges. I think he had one back in February. He had another one last week. He gets released. He gets claimed by the Washington Redskins today, I believe. And he gets placed on the commissioner's exempt list, meaning he's not going to be able to practice or attend games until all his legal problems are sorted out. I don't blame the 49ers for cutting him. And I get from a football move why you would pick him up in the Redskins. But from a PR standpoint, why would you touch this guy with a 10-foot pole right now?
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I have no idea why they are. I wouldn't go anywhere near them. I'll be honest. And this coming from a guy who watched him play in college. He's a former Alabama alum. I was really rooting for him, but I mean, I'll be honest. I got zero tolerance for domestic violence, and we've talked about it numerous times on this show. The distractions the NFL has with these certain problems is just ridiculous, and the fact that Washington would sign him like a week after, and he's still on the commissioner's exempt list. I get it. They're trying to stack some talent, and they think they can, do some things. But he's not the guy right now you want to be associated with. Mm-hmm. I don't understand this move for Washington. It doesn't make any sense. So I would say that the 49ers made the right move, and Washington kind of didn't.
Yeah, and the ESPN article Washington's decision to claim Foster was not unanimous, the source said, and there's apparently no guarantee he will ever play for the team. The quote from Senior Vice President of Player Personnel Doug Williams is, "The Redskins fully understand the severity of the recent allegations made against Reuben. If true, you can be sure these allegations are nothing our organization would ever condone. Let me be clear, Reuben will have to go through numerous steps, including the full legal process and investigation and potential discipline from the NFL, as well as meetings with counselors, before he'll ever have the opportunity to wear the burgundy and gold." Well, that just seems like a lot to go through for a guy that has already been dropped from one team. So it makes no sense to me, in my opinion. But
No, not at this time. I mean, if they had done it in the off season or something else, but a week, you're still in the season. He's on the commissioner's exempt list. It's not the right time.
yeah,
Bad move. Bad move by the Redskins.
At this point, you knew he's not playing for you this year. So yeah, what you said, just wait until the offseason makes all the sense in the world. So, all right, man. I think that's going to do it for us here tonight. Eric Trusted, thank you very much for being with us here tonight. Do you have any final words, my friend?
No, just have a great week, and we'll talk next week.
Stay sweaty, my friend.
Stay sweaty.
Yep. Yep. And thank you, everybody out there, for listening. I am Mike Aguilera. We'll see y'all next week.